Okay.
That's that. There you go. Senator Chris Duenas, the Minority Report. Farron Taijeron, the Guam Guy, just right there. Sir, I wanted to pop up. This happened while you guys were probably sleeping. We had a little gathering here at work, so I was on my way home. But yeah, the price of gas, sir. Price of gas. Yeah. Price of gas went up. Yeah, it's now over $6 a gallon. I'm gonna try and get someone on next week. Tips, what the hell can we do to conserve the gas, right? As we pop it up here. Thank you, sir. It's up. It's right here. You see how? Look at that right there. Not good news. Not a good look. The price of mobile. This is mobile here. Extra 603 Supreme 649.9. We need to start. The gas is getting expensive when you can start saying it like the price of a new car. They're like, hey, a gallon of Supreme 6,499. Yeah, this is nuts, man. So what do? You got to make sure your tires are full. You got to make sure you get your oil change. Right, sir. Those are little tips you can do to conserve gas. I'm curious about the aircon thing because people always say, "Oh, you don't run the aircon; it saves gas." But then I get some people who say that if you go windows down, it creates a drag that increases the fuel. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but I'm going to get the answers for you guys coming up. 7:25. Farron Tyron, the Guam Guy. Farron, good morning.
Good morning.
Right on Friday. Let's go ahead and jump into this video. This is something I know you've been doing on your social media, guys. Farron Tyron, the Guam Guy on the KUM podcast network, and this is something you kind of is this something you kind of stumbled on? And we're talking about the Guam seal and how they got it wrong, Farron.
Uh, Basically, yeah, there's a mistake in there, or there's a design error, whatever you want to call it. The canoe on there, the way it's drawn, will not sail. The sail will either just fall over, or the whole vessel will capsize.
Right on. And so I know that this is something that you kind of did the reveal on your social media, and then you've been kind of walking this issue through to a lot of different people, to include sit down with Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio.
Yeah, that's right. I got an appointment with him. My timing was horrible because he was off island at the start, and it took a couple of weeks, I guess, for him to settle back into his rhythm, get caught up on work, and so on. And then I finally had to sit down with him. I think last Monday, and we had a really good, productive meeting. Right. He said he doesn't oppose it, but he just has to check on what actually the legal action looks like to update or correct the Great Seal and the flag. And it turns out that there's a third component involved with this. There's something called the coat of arms, which I had never heard of until that meeting. And he brought his own staff and also a lawyer, Miss Stephanie Flores, and they brought a copy of the relevant law. They were kind enough to provide that to me, and it shows that the coat of arms is basically the sling stone and the imagery within. The Guam seal is the coat of arms with the red border and words around it that say Tano Iman Chamorro, which was a change in 1997. And then also the coat of arms appears on the flag. And so if you change the flag, you got to change the coat of arms. Yeah. And if you change the coat of arms, you also have to change the Guam seal. So it's a bit of a interesting dynamic there legally and just with the different images in play.
Right, and we're going to go ahead and play this this video here. It's a couple of videos mashed up together. Kind of walk us through the story of the Guam seal and how, yes, Farron says he's got it right, that they got it wrong. And here's more from the Guam Guy right here on the link. Good morning.
Guam, in my first video, I showed some examples. Guam, in my first video, I showed some examples of canoes that wouldn't sail. So let's look at some that got it right. First up, the Guam Quarter.
In the foreground here, we have the outrigger connected to the hull with 3 arms, and in the middle of the hull, we have the mast sticking up and slightly forward, actually, so bonus points there, that's awesome. And of course, we have the sail behind the mast the way it's supposed to be. We see this every day. The PDN also has the outrigger mast and sail in the correct order. Same thing with this eco bag from the local shop, and it even has a Santa hat. On Google Images, you can see some generic clip art that does it correctly. Here we have a shirt from the vault that shows another perspective, which is both beautiful and looks right. Of course, here's Pro a Restaurant, and they just chose a more abstract approach, which I think works really well, and it's the same thing with this Made on Guam logo.
I don't know about y'all, but if the federal government got this right, I think the least we can do is fix it on our flag.
Well, there you go, Farron. Kind of walk us through some of the other things that happened with this situation, man, and what's next. So you met with the lieutenant governor. Does it kind of seem like from your discussion that to fix this is going to require like legislation introduced?
That's what it does seem like, yes. So it took an act of legislation to change the Great Seal back in 1997. But before 1997, it actually read Guam, territory of the United States of America. And now they changed that last part to say Tanoi Manchimoro. And they were in the law, they were talking about like referencing like our dignity as a place and as a people to just represent ourselves and not just the territory of the U.S. So. Right. And that took an act of legislation
kind of walk us through.
Change the Great Seal. So I think it only stands to reason it'll take an act of legislation to update the coat of arms and then also the flag.
Was there ever a doubt, Farron, when you go around talking with people, they're like, who the hell's this Farron guy? And where does he get off saying that we got the Guam Seal wrong? That like all the forefathers and everybody, that he got it wrong?
Every single day, every time I talk about it, I don't know what to call it, imposter syndrome or whatever, but yeah, I am. But you know, if I could explain it, just a little bit of the mechanics and just the logic of it, I can't see a logical argument against it. Right. You could make another kind of argument, but not a logical one about the mechanics of the way a canoe works. So I have a visual here, if anybody's able to see that. But basically, the way it's drawn on the flag is in the foreground, you have the outrigger, and that's pointing toward you. Moving backward, you have the hull, and above the hull, you have the mast and the sail. And the way it's drawn on the flag is the mast is behind the sail, and that is the opposite of what it should be. I've talked in with a lot of seafarers. I'm an apprentice seafarer myself. I've been on a ton of canoes. That's not true. I've been on a handful of canoes, and they all sail the same way. And the reason is if you have to be able to keep everything standing for one thing. So if you have the mast standing up, what's keeping it from falling over? Well, you could have a brace connecting the mast to the outrigger or toward the outrigger, and that keeps it from falling really in any direction. And then some canoes, they don't have the brace between the mast and the outrigger. Some have a rope, and the rope is just tied to the top of the mast to the outrigger. And when it's set up correctly, the wind is blowing over the outrigger toward the sail, and the sail is being blown away from the mast, and that's correct. But if you have the way it's drawn on the flag, you have the sail in front of the mast, between the mast and the outrigger, and so the wind would be blowing it the sail directly into the mast, and that just doesn't work. Yeah. If you have the wind coming from the other direction, then the sail and everything's just gonna flop over because there's nothing to hold it. There's no oppositional force on the other side. Or if you do have the brace, then it's just going to push that outrigger down and everything is going to fall over. So that's it with the mechanics of it and just the logic of how stuff don't fall.
I don't know how we all missed this for so many years.
It's we actually haven't. There's been a lot of people that have tried to speak out on it for a long time. It's just, I guess we didn't have the social media like we do now. So I think people have tried to go straight to our leaders or whatever. And I recognize the problem I'm doing here is I'm making a problem where there isn't one. Nobody has a problem here. So it's a hard act to follow. And we're talking about abortion and other critical issues in an election year. And here I come out of the blue, making a problem where nobody has one.
Right, yeah. So what we're doing here, Farron, is we're playing on the side of you. We have the video of the quarter, and you're showing all the different examples of where the sail is inaccurately depicted. So, wow, okay. I'm thinking if they get if there's any legislation introduced, I mean, this could be a big thing. This is almost like that renaming Guam to Guahan kind of thing, right? But I'm assuming if this did land down in the legislature, that they would have probably a panel of experts wherein they bring down navigators to talk about, what you're saying, right?
I'm confident 100% of legitimate navigators. I don't throw out the word 100%, the number 100% very often, but I'm confident 100% of legitimate navigators will take my side, will take the correct side on this. And if you're playing the video on the Guam Quarter, guys, the federal government got our own SACMAN correct.
Wow.
We got to step it up. We gotta correct it on our own imagery, on our own seal, on our own flag. If the federal government got it right and we continue to let it not be right, I don't think that's acceptable. That said, I do want to acknowledge the artist Tunquito or Francisco Feja,
Oh,
who has gone largely unrecognized, and I've been talking a lot with the family, with his descendants, some of whom are supportive to various degrees of my petition and
right.
proposal to change
I'm
it.
sure some of them probably want to wring your neck, though, Farron.
So far, not yet.
Oh.
Actually, they've been very kind. They just asked that their obviously their priority and their preference would be to make sure their great grandpa, their great great grandpa, and their grandpa. I've been talking to 3 generations of family members. Just gets the proper recognition he deserves. So, what I've actually gone ahead and done with the family permission is I contacted Guampedia website. And within an hour and a half, I provided them with some verbiage and a document, and they already changed their article. So now they've doubled that section, and I'm still working with them on edits, but they've doubled that section in their article to acknowledge Francisco Feja. And one of the descendants also provided me with a document, a 1992 scan of a legislative resolution that acknowledges their ancestor as the creator and artist of the flag. And so now I'm just trying to reach out to whoever I can to at least include that resolution because it exists, and so on. I contacted probably Eric Forbes as well.
Nice.
That is a funny guy. I saw your podcast bit with him about using the word chod.
Yeah. Great guy.
So there's a lot going on, and hopefully a lot more still to come.
Well, Farron, this is really interesting, and I'm glad you're able to catch up with Guampedia. I'm just surprised that there's stuff that they missed, even up to now 2022. So that's great that you're working hard to make sure everyone gets the recognition, and also not just talk about this problem that you say you created where there was no problem, but talking about the solution to that problem that you created where there was no problem. Thank you, Farron. Guys, he does the Guam Guy podcast. It's on the KUAM Podcast Network. It's everywhere fine podcasts are found. And his is one of our video podcasts because he does a lot of awesome things with rappelling down cliffs, cleanups and stuff. Farron, it's always great to get you on, man. And I know it was a little rough to get you on this week, but I'm glad we were able to get you on and share this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, my friend. There you go, Farron Taijeron, the Guam Guy. Good morning. Marcy has a comment in here. The Guam Seal is a depiction of the artist's creativity and should be left as it is. Oh, interesting. Good morning on you guys. Chamarita Regis says good morning.